There is a particular kind of quiet that lives inside a New York City brownstone at 5 in the morning, not silence exactly. The heat pipes knock. A cab idles somewhere below. Snow settles against the iron bars of the fire escape without a sound. It is the quiet of a city that has simply paused for a breath. That is where this story begins. Maya Chen, 17 years old, with a scar along her left jawline from a childhood fall off a stoop railing, sat on the floor of her bedroom in a brownstone on Tremont Avenue in the Bronx. She had her acceptance letter from the ROTC program in her lap. She had read it 9 times. She folded it once more, slid it under her mattress, and went to make coffee before her mother woke up. She did not tell her mother what was inside that envelope, not yet. When she finally told her recruiter, Staff Sergeant Dennis Roark, a broad-shouldered man in his 40s who ran the program out of a community center 2 blocks from the bodega on 183rd Street, he looked at her the way people look at something fragile they are not sure they should touch. "You're small," he said. "I'm fast," she said. "It's not about fast, Chen. The army isn't about fast. It's about whether you can carry weight when your body is done." She looked him in the eye. "Then I'll train until my body isn't done so easily." He did not say she couldn't do it. He said something that sat in her chest for years afterward. He said, "This place will try to break you. Most people don't know that until it's already happening." She thought about those words on the subway home, watching steam rise through the grate at the 170th Street entrance, a plume of it catching the January light before disappearing. She thought about what it meant to be broken. She decided it meant something different to her than it did to him. Maya trained every morning before school. She ran the hill in Crotona Park in the dark. She did push-ups on the cold tile floor of the apartment while her mother slept. By the time she shipped out 2 years later, she could outrun every other recruit in her intake group. She did not know that Sergeant Roark had written in her file, "Potential but high risk of burnout. Monitor closely." She never saw that file. She went in. She was given orders she did not always agree with. She followed them. She was given responsibilities that stretched past what seemed reasonable. She carried them. She was put into situations designed to see if she would crack. She did not crack. She grew very quiet inside, though, and in the army, very quiet is sometimes mistaken for very hard. It took her a long time to understand the difference. Dennis Roark had been running the Bronx ROTC program for 11 years when Maya Chen sat down across his desk and told him she was going in. He had seen 100 kids like her, brilliant and hungry and carrying something private in their eyes that the program either sharpened into something useful or ground down into regret. He had seen both. He had presided over both. When he told her the army would try to break her, he was not trying to discourage her. He needed to know if she understood what she was agreeing to. She said it back to him in her own way without flinching. He wrote in her file that night, "Potential but high risk of burnout, monitor closely." He meant it as a safety note. He meant it as a flag for whoever came after him to pay attention. He did not mean it as a verdict. But he understood even then that on paper it could read like one. He thought about her through the years in the unfocused way you think about someone you wonder if you got right. He had 3 daughters of his own, all grown now. He understood eventually that his hesitation in that office had less to do with Maya's ability and more to do with his own history of watching people he believed in get chewed up. He had been wrong about the mechanism. He had been right about the challenge. He had been wrong about her. He retired from the program 5 years after Maya shipped out. He went on to teach a physical fitness curriculum at a high school in Queens, took the D train every morning from his apartment in Jackson Heights, ate a sandwich on the platform while the express blew past. Ordinary life, good life. He did not expect to hear her name again. Then, one Tuesday in March, he got a call from a colleague. Someone was coming to speak to the junior ROTC cohort at the community center on 183rd Street. A brigadier general, first name Maya. He sat with that for a moment. He called his wife in from the kitchen and told her. She said, "Are you going?" He said, "I don't know if she'd want me there." His wife handed him his coat. The community center smelled the same. Folding chairs and industrial floor cleaner and the faint ghost of the lunch program that ran out of the same kitchen. Maya Chen, 37 years old, stood at the front of the room in dress uniform, one silver star at her collar, the scar along her left jawline visible when the light hit it. She looked out at 22 teenagers in various states of attention and discomfort, the particular posture of young people who are not yet sure whether to believe in something. She was talking about patience when she saw him. Dennis Roark stood at the back of the room, still broad-shouldered, his hair fully gray now, holding his coat in front of him like he was waiting for permission to come inside. She paused for one breath. "Sergeant Roark," she said. He nodded. He said, "General." The room shifted, 22 teenagers suddenly very alert. She looked at him for a moment, then she looked back at the room. "This is the man who told me this would be hard," she said. "He was right. He was the first person who told me the truth about what I was walking into. That's a harder thing to do than it sounds." Roark did not move from the doorway. After the session ended, when the chairs were folding and the kids were filing out into the cold gray March afternoon, Maya walked to the back of the room. She held out her hand. He shook it. Neither of them said anything for a moment. Then she said, "I read my file, eventually." He met her eyes. "I know," he said quietly. "I'm sorry about how that read." She looked at him for a long moment. Outside, through the single window, snow was beginning to gather on the fire escapes of the brownstones across the street, soft and without ceremony, the way it does when no one has been watching for it. "You were monitoring me," she said. "That's different." She put on her coat and walked toward the door. He stayed where he was, her words still settling. If this story stayed with you, please take a moment to like this video and leave a comment below. It means more than you know, and it helps others find stories like this one. Follow to Soul Relief Stories for a new story every day. We'll see you next time.